Oh, Bu Jenny, we can start the session.
Okay, alright. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good evening, everybody, ladies and gentlemen. Alright, welcome to our great webinar this evening. I'm Arjeni, and I'm going to accompany you to have a very insightful webinar tonight. Okay, the title of our webinar tonight is about transforming education, cultivating metacognitive awareness, reflection, and critical thinking in students. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you know that this insightful English and Bahasa Indonesia session will present strategies for empowering students with critical thinking and collaborative, reflective learning. So we are going to discuss the learner's shifting role from knowledge transmission to facilitating students' active engagement and also independence, and how to create a classroom where students become confident, lifelong learners. So we are also trying to explore strategies to foster deep thinking, teamwork, and self-reflection in students, and how to prepare them to tackle complex challenges and thrive in an ever-evolving world. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, um, before starting our webinar, so let me check from the participant this evening, yeah, Pak Dadan. Actually, we have 45 actually. So I bet that you are coming from every part of Indonesia, I guess. So for the first time, would you like to write your name and also where you are from on the chat box? Bapak Ibu, silakan. Okay, some of you have written here. Well, Pak Dadan from Bandung as our founder of Kelas Kreatif Indonesia, and also Bu Indri. Halo Bu Indri. Bu Indri is from Bandung ya. Bu Isyana from Jogja, Bu Lana from Cimahi. Okay. And we have Bu Sri from Tembilahan Riau ya. And also Bu Emilia from Ambon, Bu Nisa from Sidoarjo. So it's really great to see all of you are here tonight to learn together, to discuss together with our two distinguished speakers, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, first, before coming to the main session this evening, I'm going to invite Pak Dadan from Kelas Kreatif Indonesia, um, who is going to introduce Kelas Kreatif Indonesia to all of us here. Okay, Pak Dadan, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Bu Jenny. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi
Yeah,
wabarakatuh.
dear learning partners, Kelas Kreatif Indonesia, I'm very happy tonight we have the session with Beata, who are now residing in Bali, I believe, and then we have Bu Anggi, who are now in Thailand, right, Bu Anggi? And then the participants tonight are coming from all over Indonesia. If I look at the list of the names in the Zoom chat, including Ibu Jenny from Padang, and then Pak Diki from Riau, Pak Asep from Tasik, Ibu Lasma from Lampung, Jogja, and then Sidoarjo, Palembang. Wow, that's a wide range of participants, yeah. My name is Dadan from Kelas Kreatif Indonesia, Ibu dan Bapak. Please allow me to have a short introduction about our community. Yeah. Can you see my screen, Ibu Jenny?
Still on the way, I guess, Pak Dadan. Yep, it is.
Oke, Ibu and Bapak, we are in komunitas pendidik kelas kreatif komunitas pendidik kelas kreatif Indonesia event ya. And then komunitas pendidik kelas kreatif Indonesia is a personal learning community, a personal learning network, and community of practice established in 2008 under Education Development Project, and then change its names into Kelas Kreatif into 2018 and becoming Komunitas Pendidik Kelas Kreatif Indonesia in 2020. Um, Komunitas Pendidik Kelas Kreatif Indonesia is part of Yayasan Kelas Kreatif Indonesia. The community comprises members learning partners such as teachers, lecturers, and tutors with over 7,000 educators currently participating. And one of the core visions of this community is to provide an informal collaboration-based professional development platform for educators to share, discuss, learn, and grow together. The expectation, of course, we are all in the community will become lifelong learners, reflecting on our teaching practices and conducting research on creative, innovative, and interactive learning theories, strategies, and methods, implementing them in the classroom. And the ultimate goal, of course, is to create an inspiring learning environment. So we have three social medias, Ibu and Bapak. The first one is Instagram. So you can follow Class Creative Instagram. I believe we have put the link to the Instagram in the registration form and in the entry that we share every morning from Monday to Friday. Yeah. And then we have Facebook as well. So for the generation like me, probably Facebook is more suitable. So that's why we also accommodate the situation where some participants are not from the Gen Z. Yeah, so Facebook still an effective ways to communicate. And then the last one, of course, WhatsApp. So we communicate despite one-way communication. We share information about learning materials, about resources, about events in our WhatsApp group. Thank you very much for staying in the WhatsApp group because I believe many of you are joining the community through WhatsApp, yeah, especially those who joined into 2008, ya, 2008. So Ibu and Bapak, here are the pengurus of Kelas Kreatif Indonesia Foundation. Many of them are teachers, lecturers, tutor, housewife, and then the government officer, etc. We are coming from different background. So, current and upcoming events. I think, not I think, we just finished the writing workshop yesterday at American Corner ITB. So, we have cooperation with American Corner ITB to run a session in the monthly basis. So if you are in Bandung and beyond, you can join the activity, the seminar or the workshop, yeah, on site at the ITB library. And then starting on Monday, I believe we are going to have English proficiency tests for those who are joining the English proficiency WhatsApp group. And then we are going to have AI in ESL teaching. This morning we have shared polling, yeah, to all of you whether you want to share your best practice on using AI in your classroom. And thank you very much for those who have expressed the interest to lead a session in Kelas Kreatif Indonesia. And then next Saturday, Ibu and Bapak, we are going to have books in the box in Majalengka. And thank you very much for all of you who support the Kelas Kreatif Indonesia by getting the e-certificate and sending some funding, including donating some books, because we are going to use that fund and the books to run the books in the box in Majalengka, in one of the elementary schools in Majalengka. That's a brief introduction, Ibu Jenny, Beata, and Bu Anggi, and enjoy the session, Ibu and Bapak. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for the nice introduction about Kelas Kreatif Indonesia, Pak Dadan. Bapak dan Ibu, I'm going to invite two great speakers who are going to accompany us tonight. The first one is, as what Pak Dadan has introduced before, I'm going to invite Beta Mireka Jakubowska. I'm afraid that I have wrong mispronounced your name. Sorry, Beta.
That's all
Uh,
right.
Okay, thank you. Actually, Beta is a founder and CEO of Intercultural Education, consulting with project work in Indonesia for IQ education, Co-Learn, Zenius, USINDO, and in Europe. Um, Connected learning, step into a new world, a new way of teaching with decades of experience in teaching English at Jakarta Intercultural School, Jakarta, Indonesia. That's very wonderful things that she has, Bapak dan Ibu. And the second presenter tonight, we have Ibu Anggi Suharja. From the name, we can guess that she is from Indonesia, but now Bu Anggi is a lecturer at Mai Fah Luang University in Thailand, consultant, and award-winning education, youth, and language activist from META or Meta Representative for Indonesia. Is it right, Bu Anggi?
That's correct, Ibu. Thank you so much, Shaman. Thank
Okay. Yeah,
you.
nice to see both of you. Great speakers. So, um, in order to save our time and to use it effectively. So for the next session, I'm going to invite both of the speakers to present the material in front of us all here. And actually, we have around 60 minutes for both of you, Beta and Miss Anggi. Um, so I'm going to invite Beta first and then continue by Miss Anggi. Yeah? And after that, we're going to have Q&A session after that. Okay. Um, Actually, I'm not patient to listen to your presentation. Both of you great speakers, Beta and Anggi. Well, first I'd like to invite Beta. Okay, the floor is yours, Beta.
Thank you very much. Thank you for this introduction. Angie will be controlling the slideshow, and we can begin with the next slide. As you can gather from the introduction, we are both, Angie and I are both lifelong learners and very passionate educators. We have collaborated together on several projects now. We are a great team, and we love to share our experiences with other teachers. In the photo, you can also see my colleague from Poland, Katarzyna Pelc, with whom I have collaborated on different projects that are based in Europe. And she is also the co-author of the teacher's guide that we are also going to be sharing some information about today. So that is definitely an intercultural collaboration for sure. And we all share this mission to transform education by empowering you, teachers, with strategies to help their students become lifelong learners. I apologize for my voice. I've been battling some pharyngitis recently, so if it is cracking, that's because that illness is still not gone from me. Apologies for that.
No
I think that
worries.
we can. I think that we can all agree that in our lives, every aspect from technology to social norms is constantly evolving. We know that our cars have changed and our cities have changed. Our technology has changed and is still changing at this unprecedented rate. Even tennis has been changing as well. And, the limiting clothes and playing rules. I'm a very great fan of tennis because our powerful female player, Iga Świątek, is or was number one. The world has changed more than the last decade, I would say, that it has in the previous century. And it's not surprising that teachers and educators are also facing these challenges because of the demand of this rapid change. And we need to be making a very large paradigm shift from knowledge transmitters to facilitators of learning in the classroom that is full of actively engaged students. But as this process is already happening, even the most dedicated and experienced teachers are still struggling with an uncertainty of how to adapt or extend their teaching practice. So that actually may be you, right? Let's talk about it for a while, and we are going to continue. Can we get the next slide, please? So for those of you who don't know me, I've been an educator in an international school and international environments for several decades. And today I wanted to share with you some of my knowledge and strategies that I have successfully implemented to support students in achieving success in learning. Because I know that teachers continue to struggle with similar issues. And as a dedicated and innovative practitioner, I believe in providing my fellow educators with these practical tips because, like many of you asked questions in the questionnaire, you're asking questions like why, how can I boost my students' confidence, or how can I address challenges like low motivation, sometimes even apathy. The students aren't really happy to be learning. Maybe you're asking questions like, why don't my students take ownership of their learning? Or how can I promote self-regulated learning? So today we're going to be discussing some possible answers and some possible solutions. So the answer to these questions from our perspective is the application of metacognition and critical thinking and collaborative and reflective learning. So before we discuss them and show you how to actually implement them, let's check how you feel about these ideas, because we asked you how familiar you are with the concepts of metacognition and critical thinking and collaborative reflective learning in educational settings. And here are some of those results. So we put it together and we looked at your answers. We really had a good look about what you asked about and what you thought about it. And it turns out that, in fact, many of you are in the same situation, that only a few of you are quite familiar. That's the green area. Some of you have heard about it, but you can see that the majority, almost 3/4 of the congregation here today, either has never heard of it or has heard just a little bit. So that's what we're going to share with you today, because we know that from our practice of it, it's a very, very powerful shift in the way that we support our students and how we can get our students to really learn a lot and learn much better. So to get us on the same page, we're going to first briefly look at metacognition, which in the educational context refers to awareness and control over one's own learning process. Okay, so it's the possibility of understanding how I learn and what are the strategies that I can use in my own learning process. Okay, the Education Endowment Foundation actually indicates in studies that students who practice metacognition are ahead of their peers about 7 months in their educational journey. So it is a very powerful tool to understand and to implement in your teaching practice, and we're going to show you how to do that today. Okay, but talking more about metacognitive knowledge and regulation. Okay, metacognition in general means metacognitive knowledge and regulation. Okay, so knowledge that we're talking about is declarative knowledge. Okay, so that's the knowledge about how the brain works and how memory works. So knowledge of different learning methods and strategies. And sometimes we feel like, okay, well, that's something for me to know, and my students don't need to know that. Well, it doesn't actually. That's not something that that we believe in anymore. That it is better for students to actually be aware of that, and that awareness changes their perspective. Okay. The second one is procedural knowledge, and that is knowledge about how to implement different learning strategies. And again, before we thought, okay, the teachers know this, the students don't need to. And it turns out that when they are aware of that and they're actually in charge of their learning strategies and they are able to control that, they do better, perform much better, and are more engaged and more interested in their learning. Okay. And that conditional knowledge is knowing when and why we need to use different strategies. So again, being aware of that makes a difference. Okay. Now, metacognitive regulation, it actually means the ability to plan, monitor, and evaluate. Angie, if you click one more time, you'll get that shown on the slide. So that metacognitive regulation is, again, the ability to plan and monitor and evaluate one's own learning process. And again, this is something that students need to be aware of and be able to plan and to monitor and to evaluate how they are learning. Okay, so we're going to show you how to do it in some scenarios that we will share today. Okay, so I think that at this point, Angie will take over and kind of retell a little bit in Bahasa, because I know that you are going to be implementing what I am saying in Bahasa in your various subjects and various grades that you are teaching, because this applies all the way from elementary school to university students.
Thank you, Beata. Terima kasih, Beata. Baik, Bapak Ibu, seringkali kita merasa bahwa hanya guru, hanya kita yang harus tahu apa sih strategi pembelajaran yang efektif dan bagaimana mengaplikasikannya di dalam kelas. Tapi sebenarnya penting sekali bagi siswa kita untuk tahu juga bagaimana sih cara belajar. Nah, makanya metakognisi atau regulasi metakognisi adalah kemampuan untuk merancang, memonitor, dan juga mengevaluasi proses pembelajaran seseorang. Jadi kita juga harus bisa mengajak siswa-siswa kita untuk bisa mengetahui apa sih sebenarnya strategi pembelajaran yang paling efektif untuk mereka. Nah, dengan apa? Yang pertama ada pengetahuan deklaratif. Pengetahuan deklaratif ini adalah pengetahuan tentang bagaimana otak dan memori bekerja. Jadi pengetahuan tentang berbagai metode dan strategi pembelajaran. Jadi ketika di kelas, Bapak Ibu juga bisa berbagi kepada siswa-siswa, oh ini loh ada yang namanya metode misalnya mencatat, ada juga mendengarkan, membaca, ada yang harus sambil menonton. Penting untuk siswa juga mengetahui, oh mereka itu tipe pembelajar yang seperti apa ya? Apakah mereka harus membaca, ataukah membaca sambil mencatat, atau hanya mendengarkan? Nah, itu adalah pengetahuan tentang bagaimana otak dan memori mereka bekerja. Selain itu, ada pengetahuan prosedural, yaitu pengetahuan tentang bagaimana menerapkan berbagai strategi pembelajaran. Ketika mereka tahu, oh, saya adalah siswa yang belajarnya lebih baik kalau sambil bergerak nih. Saya harus bisa merasakan pengalaman-pengalaman pembelajaran secara langsung atau hands-on misalnya. Nah, bagaimana cara melakukannya? Mereka harus tahu dari pengetahuan prosedural seperti ini. Atau belajar sambil mencatat. Bagaimana sih cara membuat catatan yang efektif? Nah, itu juga adalah salah satu cara supaya mereka bisa menguasai pengetahuan prosedural ini. Nah, selain itu yang ketiga, ada pengetahuan kondisional, Bapak Ibu. Nah, pengetahuan kondisional ini adalah pengetahuan tentang kapan dan mengapa mereka menerapkan berbagai strategi. Jadi, setelah mereka tahu ada strategi apa saja, mereka tahu cara mengaplikasikannya. Nah, akhirnya mereka juga harus tahu bagaimana mereka memutuskan kapan nih saya harus memakai strategi mencatat, kapan saya harus memakai strategi mendengarkan misalnya, kapan saya harus membuat peta konsep misalnya seperti itu. Nah, ini adalah keterampilan-keterampilan yang perlu kita berikan kepada siswa. Seperti itu. Nah, selain itu, mereka juga bisa memiliki kemampuan untuk merancang, memonitor, dan juga akhirnya mengevaluasi. Mana sih yang paling efektif untuk saya sebagai seorang siswa? Nah, ini Bapak Ibu adalah elemen-elemen yang Bapak Ibu sebagai pendidik bisa masukkan dalam praktik pengajaran Bapak Ibu untuk membuat perubahan yang Bapak Ibu harapkan, yaitu hasil belajar yang lebih baik dan siswa yang nantinya lebih terlibat dalam pembelajaran. Dan kami juga akan menunjukkan caranya sebentar lagi. Baik, selanjutnya Bapak Ibu, mungkin setelah itu Bapak Ibu bertanya, mengapa sih metakognisi dan pembelajaran reflektif? Nah, Bapak Ibu, metakognisi dan pembelajaran reflektif ini dapat memberikan dorongan yang positif yang sangat dibutuhkan untuk membuat perubahan dalam pola pikir pembelajaran siswa. Dan hal ini berlaku tanpa memandang usia, tanpa memandang bidang studi. Jadi, Bapak Ibu mengajar bidang studi apapun, metakognisi ini bisa diterapkan dalam pembelajaran Bapak Ibu. Nah, metakognisi dan pembelajaran reflektif juga bisa membantu mengembangkan kompetensi dalam manajemen diri yang pada gilirannya, pada akhirnya, membantu siswa dalam pertumbuhan pribadi dan profesional di masa depan. Nah, jadi setelah mereka bisa memiliki keterampilan metakognisi dan pembelajaran reflektif, ini akan mempengaruhi pola pikir belajar mereka. Selain itu, bisa mengembangkan kompetensi dan juga manajemen diri mereka. Nanti kita akan bahas tentang manajemen diri. Selain itu juga bisa meningkatkan pertumbuhan pribadi dan juga profesional mereka pada masa depan. Nah, Bapak Ibu, ini ada data dari Indonesian National Adolescent Mental Health Survey pada tahun 2022. Survei ini menyatakan bahwa ada 15,5 juta atau 34,9% remaja yang mengalami masalah mental. Dan ada 2,45 juta atau 5,5% remaja yang mengalami gangguan mental. Bapak Ibu bayangkan bisa jadi 15,5 juta dan 2,45 juta ini adalah murid-murid kita. Mereka siswa-siswa Indonesia yang mungkin masih berusia sekitar 13 sampai 18 tahun. Nah, Bapak Ibu, ternyata metakognisi dalam hal ini juga dapat membantu anak-anak muda untuk bisa menangani krisis mental mereka. Nah, terutama selama dan setelah pandemi ini angka kesehatan mental para remaja ini semakin memburuk, Bapak Ibu. Jadi, metakognisi ini adalah salah satu hal yang bisa kita lakukan di dalam kelas untuk bisa membantu mereka mengatasi itu. Nah, dengan bagaimana caranya? Nah, jadi ketika siswa merasa kewalahan, siswa merasa lelah, atau merasa putus asa dan siap untuk menyerah, dan masalah-masalah ini juga semakin banyak belakangan ini ya Bapak Ibu. Nah, kita bisa mengajarkan mereka untuk berpikir secara metakognitif, untuk menyadari apa sih kekuatan mereka dan apa sih keterampilan belajar mereka. Nah, hal ini juga dapat mendukung para anak muda di seluruh dunia, termasuk di Indonesia, untuk bisa menghadapi krisis kesehatan mental yang kita hadapi saat ini. Jadi, uh, kombinasi dari pembelajaran reflektif dan metakognisi ini sangat bermanfaat untuk keterampilan manajemen diri mereka. Salah satunya tadi dengan apa? Dengan membantu siswa untuk bisa menemukan apa sih kekuatan mereka. Karena kadang ketika mereka sendiri sudah merasa kesulitan untuk meregulasi diri, ditambah lagi mereka harus ke sekolah, lalu mereka kewalahan, mereka tidak mengerti apa yang kita ajarkan. Di situ kita bisa membantu mereka untuk misalnya mengobrol dengan mereka. Ini salah satu praktik yang selalu saya lakukan di kelas saya, Bapak Ibu, baik itu di jenjang apapun, setelah kami melakukan presentasi misalnya, atau misalnya ada salah satu assessment. Saya selalu ajak ngobrol murid-murid saya, mahasiswa-mahasiswa saya. Saya selalu tanya kepada mereka, sebelum saya minta saya memberikan umpan balik, saya selalu bertanya terlebih dahulu. Menurut kamu tadi gimana penampilan kamu? Menurut kamu tadi presentasi kamu gimana? Sudah bagus atau belum? Dari nilai 1 sampai 10 kira-kira nilai kamu berapa ya? Lalu bagaimana perasaan kamu tadi setelah presentasi? Bagaimana perasaan kamu saat presentasi? Bagaimana setelah kamu belajar mempersiapkan presentasi? Apakah menurut kamu tadi presentasi kamu sudah bagus? Kalau sudah, apa saja tadi kekuatannya? Apa saja kelebihan presentasi kamu? Kalau belum, kira-kira apa yang harus diperbaiki? Nah, pertanyaan-pertanyaan seperti itu, Bapak Ibu, adalah salah satu cara supaya kita bisa lebih melibatkan siswa dalam pembelajaran. Kita bisa mengajak siswa untuk juga memikirkan apa sih kekuatan mereka, tidak melulu tentang apa yang harus mereka kembangkan di depannya, atau apa kekurangan mereka, tapi apa kelebihan mereka. Itu dulu yang kita tanyakan. Nah, itu adalah salah satu hal yang Bapak Ibu juga bisa praktikan. Salah satunya sesederhana itu. Dengan bertanya kepada mereka, bagaimana perasaan mereka, apa yang ingin mereka katakan kepada kita. Karena siapa tahu sebenarnya ada perasaan-perasaan yang tidak bisa mereka ungkapkan pada saat kita mengajar seluruh kelas. Tapi kalau kita berdialog dengan mereka satu persatu atau dari kelompok kecil, mereka mungkin akan merasa terakomodasi, walaupun mereka memiliki memiliki sifat yang sedikit pemalu misalnya. Nah, seperti itu Bapak Ibu contohnya. Lalu selanjutnya, what do we want as teachers? Beata, I'll give the floor to you.
Thank you, Angie. So, teaching students to think metacognitively, to be aware of their learning power and skills, that's something that we want to do. And when we think about it, we want to also think about what improvements in our students' learning abilities and behavior we would really like to observe in the class. And right now, we'd like you to think about your own class, because each one of you is an individual. You have your own situation. You are from different islands, from different cities, different schools. You have different students in your class. So think about your own students and write 1 or 2 words only, and try to write a different one that you see once people start writing. What is it that you would like to observe in the class? How would you like your students to behave or to learn in your class? Okay, so we start off with an example like better attention or greater focus, blah blah blah. Let's start a waterfall. You can write in Bahasa as well. I can read and I can understand quite a lot, but I can't speak.
Ya, silakan Bapak Ibu dituliskan di kolom chat kita.
Yes, student engagement, deep interest, better understanding, yes. Respectful, yes. Learn naturally.
Kalau Ibu Marjeni apa Bu? Perkembangan yang ingin Ibu lihat dalam siswa?
Yes,
Oke, siap Bu
join
Ani.
their learning. Yes, absolutely. Yes. A lot of you are saying respect, motivation. So we're all really wanting exactly the same things. being self-confident, being active, being, participating, being independent. That's a tall order. And in order to do that, we need to do some things perhaps a little bit differently than we have done that in the past. So you know how you want your students to change, and we will help you to do that. Changing your practice in the classroom may need to be happening so that the changes that you wish for your students to implement can actually take place. Metacognition is a very powerful tool because combined with critical thinking and reflective learning it helps develop a competence of self-management. Okay, so that in effect can mean some regulation and control over the students' behavior, emotions, the way that the student is thinking about their own learning and about their own education. Okay, so that's what we really need in our classes.
Yeah.
Effective regulation, control, that's actually done by the students themselves, right? So let's think about those students that we have in the class today. How important is this competence for them right now? That self-awareness. And self-awareness is one's own emotions, strengths, knowing your strengths, knowing your weaknesses, knowing what you value and how you value what you value, right? What motivates you and includes being mindful of decisions, okay? Those are all very powerful ideas. But if we think of terms of our students, okay, even young kids can definitely benefit from understanding, okay, which we can show them, we can incorporate that into our lessons as we teach our respective subjects and our content. So we're not changing what we teach in our subjects. If you teach physics, you're still teaching physics. And if you're teaching math, you're still teaching math. And if you're teaching English, you're still teaching English. But changing the way we do it, that's going to be crucial. Okay. Emotional regulation is also being able to regulate your emotions. So understanding that emotion that controls me, understanding how the emotions are triggered and how I can control them. Yeah, staying calm when there is pressure, handling stress. Many of the young students nowadays are having difficulty regulating their stress levels and avoiding impulsive actions, right? So again, we can work with our students and teach them how to manage those emotions. And self-motivation is, of course, the ability to set personal goals, stay committed to those goals, and we will show you how to do that today, and maintain that positive attitude and keep learning even though there are obstacles and setbacks. Okay, so we're talking about developing that inside motivation, intrinsic motivation, and keep going, maintaining that energy to keep going, especially for long-term projects or objectives. Angie, can you also just say a few words about this in Bahasa?
Yes, Piara,
Because
definitely.
we will go into the example right away after this, right?
Correct, yes. Jadi Bapak Ibu, metakognisi ini memiliki kekuatan di dalam pembelajaran kita. Karena jika digabungkan dengan kemampuan berpikir kritis dan pembelajaran reflektif, metakognisi ini menjadi alat yang sangat berguna untuk mengembangkan kompetensi manajemen diri, yang berarti pengaturan dan pengendalian yang efektif terhadap perilaku, emosi, dan pikiran seseorang. Nantinya mungkin Bapak Ibu juga selalu mengajarkan, oh misalnya anak-anak kalau mau buang sampah ke tempatnya ya. Nah, anak-anak yang punya manajemen diri, mereka tidak hanya akan membuang sampah pada tempatnya karena mereka diminta untuk membuang sampah pada tempatnya, tetapi mereka sadar bahwa, oh karena kalau kita buang sampah pada tempatnya, lingkungan menjadi bersih. Karena nanti supaya tidak kotor, supaya tidak banjir misalnya, kalau saya buang sampah ke sungai misalnya, atau ke saluran air. Nah, ini adalah hasil dari manajemen diri tadi, karena mereka punya pengendalian efektif terhadap perilaku, emosi, dan pikiran mereka sendiri. Nah, selain itu, untuk self-awareness atau kesadaran diri, jika kita berpikir dalam konteks siswa kita, pikiran mereka yang masih muda tentu saja dapat mendapatkan manfaat dari pemahaman seperti ini, yang bisa saja kita sebagai pendidik masukkan ke dalam pembelajaran kita saat mengajar mata pelajaran dan konten yang kita ajarkan. Nah, selain itu untuk regulasi emosi, kita semakin sering menemukan anak muda yang tidak mampu mengatasi stres dan bertindak secara impulsif. Nah, kalau mereka punya metakognisi, kita bisa mengajarkan mereka bagaimana mengelola emosi supaya mereka bisa mengendalikan dan meregulasi emosi mereka sendiri. Nah, selain itu ada juga self-motivation atau motivasi diri. Bapak Ibu, ketika siswa-siswa kita diiming-imingi misalnya hadiah atau diiming-imingi, oh nanti nilai kamu jadi besar misalnya kalau kamu melakukan aktivitas ini, kegiatan ini. Nah, akankah mereka termotivasi? Ya, mereka akan termotivasi. Tapi motivasi mereka hanyalah motivasi jangka pendek. Nah, anak-anak yang memiliki metakognisi ini memiliki motivasi yang kuat yang jauh lebih dari sekadar diiming-imingi hal-hal yang bersifat eksternal seperti tadi. Nah, jadi motivasi ini dapat dikembangkan justru melalui jenis-jenis pengajaran tertentu, tidak hanya dari hal-hal eksternal seperti tadi. Nah, strategi-strategi ini bisa dilakukan di sekolah dan membantu siswa menjadi pembelajar seumur hidup. Oh, baik, silakan Beata.
All right. So, Kasha and I have actually written a teacher's guide, which we are going to be sharing with you some of the excerpts from it. And this is an example, a scenario from chapter 2, which focuses on the roles of the students and the roles of the teachers. And the roles of the teachers become facilitators of learning. Okay, so the facilitator must make that paradigm shift for the metacognitive awareness to take place. Okay, so this task is actually quite simple, to generate a set of guidelines for the students to agree to and to follow to the best of their abilities. This is one that I have done myself for many, many years in my classes. This can be done at the beginning of the school year or at the beginning of the semester. January is coming up, so it will be a great time to implement this scenario in the new year, new beginnings, new ways of learning together. Many of you were saying that the changes that you would like to see is respect for others. And I have experienced this in my classes as well. And that is when the students are actually asked, what kind of classroom do you want to have? What kind of classroom do you think is going to be best for everybody to learn in? There's a huge change in the way that they are thinking about themselves and about the people who are in their classroom with them learning together. So let me demonstrate this chain of critical thinking that you can model in the classroom. Okay. So if you also want to focus on some issues like we want everyone to feel good about their learning. So what does that mean to you? You can ask your students, and they will generate different answers, and probably one of them will be, we don't laugh at each other when somebody makes a mistake. All right, great. That's a great answer. So why don't we do that? Why is that something that doesn't help us learn well and feel good about our learning? So again, your students will be thinking about that because, well, we learn from mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. Yes, exactly. So then you're demonstrating to the students also your own thought process and the question after question that you ask, that you are getting into deeper understanding through those questions. Okay, so you demonstrate, you model to the students this thought process. And through it, you can also convince the students that it actually makes sense to be helping each other, to learn, to work together, and to be supporting each other in their learning, to be giving positive feedback and positive encouragement rather than laughing at their mistake and making them feel disrespected, maybe feeling down, feeling unable to learn, and not feeling good about their own learning and about their own abilities. So this makes a huge difference in their learning mindsets. Angie was talking about pola pikir. That's exactly what this is all about, preparing them for changing their mindset into a growth mindset, from a fixed mindset, I can't learn, to sure, I can learn, I make mistakes, but then everybody makes mistakes, right? And so it prepares them for an awareness of their own learning power. Okay, so this is an example, a scenario that you can apply in your class. From in any class, in any subject, even elementary school students can participate in this. Anggi, would you like to add something to this?
Yes, a little bit, Beata. Jadi, Bapak Ibu, ini adalah salah satu skenario yang bisa Bapak Ibu lakukan, terutama pada awal pembelajaran, pada pertemuan pertama misalnya. Jadi, Bapak Ibu bagi siswa-siswa ke dalam kelompok-kelompok kecil, lalu minta mereka untuk menjawab pertanyaan-pertanyaan ini, atau paling tidak minta mereka untuk mendaftar apa saja sih peraturan kelas yang menurut mereka bagus untuk diterapkan di kelas ini. Misalnya, sesederhana, oh, apakah terlambat itu baik atau tidak? Apakah kita untuk mahasiswa saya, biasanya saya tanya kepada mereka, biasanya kalau mereka ingin masuk kelas, paling lambat itu berapa menit? Nah, kalau mereka yang memutuskan paling lambat berapa menit, itu nanti mereka akan lebih punya kesadaran diri untuk bisa mematuhi peraturan itu sendiri. Peraturan yang disetujui oleh semuanya, hasil diskusi mereka. Atau karena saya mengajar bahasa Inggris, Bapak Ibu, jadi biasanya saya tanya, sebenarnya punya aksen itu boleh nggak sih kalau ngomong bahasa Inggris tapi pakai aksennya aksen Thailand? Lalu mereka, oh enggak, teacher, aksen itu enggak bagus. Saya biasanya bilang, nggak apa-apa, aksen itu adalah salah satu bentuk keberanian. Jadi kalau ada teman kamu ngomong bahasa Inggris tapi aksennya masih pakai aksen Thailand, nggak apa-apa, jangan diketawain, jangan takut gitu. Nah itu biasanya yang nanti disetujui sama, oh iya ya gitu. Nanti mereka bisa tulis, oh jadi harus menghargai satu sama lain, tidak boleh saling menertawakan kalau ada yang membuat salah, dan sebagainya. Begitu Bapak Ibu. Nah tadi Beata juga membahas soal pola pikir berkembang atau growth mindset. Nah jadi alih-alih mengajarkan siswa untuk bilang saya tidak bisa, kita bisa ajarkan mereka untuk bilang saya belum bisa. Nah itu perbedaannya, pola pikir yang tetap atau fixed mindset dan pola pikir berkembang growth mindset. Nah kita harus ajarkan murid-murid kita pola pikir berkembang tadi. Nah, ini bisa Bapak Ibu berikan juga menjadi sebuah bahan diskusi untuk pertemuan pertama. Jadi nanti mereka tulis, bisa juga nanti Bapak Ibu tempel di dinding kelas supaya mereka selalu ingat. Seperti itu. Back to
Yes.
you again.
Yeah, exactly. I did understand that you put it on the wall, and I want to piggyback on that. In just about every class, every year, I had several of these posters on the wall. And to be honest, throughout the year, students, because they walked into the classroom and they saw it, they remembered right away that this is the way that we behave in this class. This is the way that we behave towards each other, that we are respectful to each other, that we collaborate, that we support each other in our learning. And very rarely did I actually have any situations in which I had to point to my wall and say, remember what we agreed on, and we're not actually doing this right now. There's this dissonance over here. So immediately they say, oh, that's right, that's right. We agreed on that, and that's something that we want to continue doing. Okay. On the next slide, we have a continuation of what the self-management also helps build, and that is more skills. The skill of time management, which is a lifelong learning skill. That's something that we all need throughout our lives. That includes prioritizing tasks and setting deadlines and avoiding procrastination. And we know that a lot of the students often procrastinate, especially when they've got their phones and their little games. So explicitly teaching these skills and practicing throughout each year at school, that's something that is crucial for lifelong learning. And the scenarios that we present in the guide will help you with that as well. The skill of adaptability, the ability to adjust your behavior, your approach, your response to changing circumstances, new information, and especially the next generations are going to be bombarded, in fact, with new information every day. And that critical thinking skill of being able to adapt and to sift through that information is going to be crucial. On the one hand, being open to ideas, but on the other, being also critical of every new idea and not jumping on every bandwagon that comes your way. So that's a very crucial skill to learn. Stress management, we talked about that, recognizing where the stress is coming and how I can manage the stress that is coming my way, maintaining a healthy work-life balance, not overwhelming oneself, and the goal setting, which is also a very important skill in being able to set realistic goals, something that is achievable, so that we are not trying to run the marathon when we're just barely able to run a couple of kilometers, because that is not an achievable goal. Breaking a goal into small steps and following those small steps, that's actually another adjusting strategy that students need to learn. So truly empowering skills that are much needed, not just for studying throughout their 12 years of school plus university, but throughout life, right? And they need to be taught explicitly. A lot of the times we feel like, oh, somebody else has already taught them this. I'm sure they know it. And that's not exactly true in many cases, and especially if students move schools, if they come from different backgrounds where perhaps the parents aren't as supportive or as knowledgeable how to support them, then it becomes a crucial role for us to be able to set those goals and to reflect on those goals as well. So we've got another example scenario for you, and This is another one that I have used many times in many years, and it works really very well if you apply it almost religiously. That it's not just a one-off. I'm going to show them how to do it, and then they're going to do it on their own. Even high school students are not going to do it on their own if they are not guided towards actually getting into a habit of it. So it does take some time to practice it again and again and again, especially the verification process, which you will see in this scenario. So I'm going to let Angie explain it in Bahasa, because again, this is something that you are going to apply in your own classes, regardless of your subject matter.
Baik, terima kasih Beata. Nah, ini Bapak Ibu adalah skenario lainnya yang bisa kita gunakan. Tadi Beata juga membahas bahwa siswa itu tidak bisa langsung mereka melakukan sendiri. Makanya peran kita di sini adalah sebagai seorang fasilitator. Jadi kita bimbing mereka supaya apa? Supaya ini menjadi kebiasaan terlebih dahulu. Kalau mereka sudah terbiasa, nanti mereka akan bisa melakukan ini sendiri. Jadi penting bagi kita untuk bisa menyisipkan ini supaya bisa menjadi kebiasaan bagi mereka. Nah, skenario ini berfokus pada penetapan tujuan atau setting goals, Bapak Ibu. Tapi tujuannya tidak hanya sekadar tujuan. Tujuannya kita sebut sebagai tujuan SMART goals. Nah, apa itu SMART? SMART itu specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, dan juga timely. Nah, jadi strateginya ini strategis dan spesifik, terukur, dapat dicapai, selain itu berorientasi pada hasil, relevan dan ketat, dan juga terikat waktu. Jadi ketika mereka menetapkan tujuan, itu harus ada elemen-elemen ini, unsur-unsur ini. Nah, di sini kita harus bisa mengajarkan siswa kita untuk benar-benar sadar akan tujuan mereka. Nah, jadi supaya bisa diinternalisasi oleh mereka. Nah, kuncinya adalah meningkatkan kesadaran bahwa tujuan-tujuan ini dapat dikoreksi pada masa depan. Jadi setelah tujuan ditetapkan, mungkin sebulan lagi nanti kita akan evaluasi lagi Bapak Ibu. Kita lihat lagi kertas yang sudah mereka kerjakan, lalu kita akan lihat lagi bagaimana sih refleksi mereka terhadap tujuan ini? Apakah sudah tercapai atau belum? Kalau belum, kira-kira mengapa? Nah, ini adalah bagian dari pembelajaran reflektif, gitu. Jadi, berikan mereka kesempatan-kesempatan untuk berefleksi. Nah, selain itu kita cek Bapak Ibu, apakah kita sudah berada pada jalur yang benar? Apakah tujuan kita terlalu ambisius misalnya? Atau terlalu mudah? Nah, bagaimana kita dapat mengoreksi tujuan tersebut? Jadi kita lakukan evaluasi. Nah, jika tidak menantang diri kita sendiri, kita tidak akan belajar. Jadi kalau misalnya siswa merasa, oh ini sangat menantang, Ibu, tidak apa-apa, itu artinya belajar. Justru kalau tidak menantang, berarti mereka tidak belajar. Tapi yang penting, mereka juga bisa tahu kalau ini achievable. Dan mereka harus tahu caranya bagaimana. Nah, ini adalah keterampilan yang dapat dilatih siswa di setiap kelas dari sekolah dasar sampai universitas. Jadi jadi terlepas dari usia mereka ya Bapak Ibu dan tentunya mata pelajaran apapun. Nah, selanjutnya Beata.
Yeah, thank you very much. I understood most of it. And there is more to self-management, and that is decision making. And that is another very important skill, the ability to make informed and effective decisions. And that involves evaluating your options, considering potential outcomes, so predicting what is going to be the possible outcome, maybe this, maybe that, and then taking action based on the decisions, the options that we have evaluated, and the judgment that we can give. And in reality, only critical thinking and weighing those options and using a variety of strategies to assess the pros and the cons that actually can help make those decisions. So those self-management competencies are really very important. They need to be developed, and students begin realizing that that's the awareness element, that these are essential for their personal development, for supporting their effective studying skills, maybe even leadership skills that they discover if we are working in small groups. And their ability to achieve that professional success in the future. So self-management really must now be taught at school, and very explicitly, right? From any age, from all the way from elementary to high school and universities, because that is a very important competence for our lives. Okay, so let's think a little bit more about the advantages of empowering our students with critical thinking skills. And even back in 2004, and that's 20 years ago, there was a report called How People Learn. The National Academy of Sciences in the United States synthesized the research on the science of learning. And one of the three key figures, the findings of this work, is the effectiveness of the metacognitive approach. So some of those advantages were improved learning outcomes, increased independence, better problem-solving skills, and we showed you the reflective skills with the goal setting, because reflective learners are better problem solvers. And the reason behind that is that they approach the problem methodically. They break down the problem into smaller parts, and they reflect on each part before and during the process, not just after the process. So learning as they keep learning and pausing and thinking, okay, am I on the right track, right? So evaluating the situation in different moments of the learning path. Okay, so it's a very, very valuable skill, not just in academics, but also in life. And of course, enhanced critical thinking skills. And I'll turn back to Angie again to explain this a little bit before we get onto another example.
Ya, terima kasih Beata. Jadi Bapak Ibu, tadi Beata juga menekankan bahwa keterampilan-keterampilan ini perlu diajarkan secara eksplisit. Ya, jadi yang tidak kalah penting selain manajemen diri tadi, ini ada keefektifan pendekatan metakognisi. Ini yang pertama, improved learning outcomes. Nah, maksudnya ketika siswa memahami proses pembelajaran mereka, mereka dapat menyesuaikan strategi yang paling efektif untuk mereka. Jadi kalau mereka tahu, oh saya lebih mudah belajar dengan bantuan visual, mereka dapat mencari atau meminta diagram atau grafik untuk membantu mereka memahami konsep-konsep yang kompleks. Atau mereka bisa membuat peta konsep misalnya. Nah, selanjutnya increased independence, meningkatkan kemandirian mereka. Nah, metakognisi mendorong siswa untuk mengendalikan pembelajaran mereka. Nah, ini dilakukan dengan pergeseran peran antara guru dan siswa. Jadi, siswa itu harus berhenti mengandalkan guru saja. Mereka harus bisa mulai mengidentifikasi dan menggunakan sumber daya serta strategi yang cocok untuk mereka. Nah, kemandirian ini sangat penting untuk keberhasilan mereka, baik di dalam maupun di luar kelas. Nah, jadi pada saat siswa mencapai tingkat universitas, mereka akhirnya bisa mengembangkan ini sepenuhnya. Dan kita ingin mereka sepenuhnya mandiri pada saat itu. Jadi penting terutama diajarkan pada usia 7-27 tahun, Bapak Ibu. Nah, selanjutnya better problem solving skills, keterampilan untuk membuat keputusan yang lebih baik. Nah, Bapak Ibu, anak-anak dengan pembelajaran reflektif biasanya memiliki keterampilan untuk mengambil keputusan yang lebih baik. Kenapa? Karena mereka akan bisa tadi menggunakan SMART goals. Mereka akan bisa memecah permasalahan ke dalam bagian-bagian yang lebih kecil. Dan akhirnya mereka akan mencoba menyelesaikan bagian-bagian yang kecil itu terlebih dahulu sampai akhirnya semua selesai. Nah, selanjutnya meningkatkan kemampuan berpikir kritis. Jadi berpikir kritis dan metakognisi ini berjalan beriringan, Bapak Ibu. Dengan merefleksikan proses berpikir mereka, siswa mengembangkan pemahaman yang lebih dalam dan lebih mungkin untuk mempertanyakan asumsi serta mempertimbangkan berbagai sudut pandang, berbagai perspektif mereka. Nah, dan bagaimana cara kita mengembangkan keterampilan berpikir kritis? Sebentar, Bapak Ibu. Nah, lalu bagaimana cara kita mengembangkan keterampilan berpikir kritis? Nah, ini dia Bapak Ibu. Beata, do you want me to continue or do you want to explain it in English first?
Well, I think that at this point, most of the teachers are really aware of the critical thinking skills, and the way how they can be developed through encouraging the questions and discussion, through problem solving, reflective thinking. We have talked about this, and teaching the logical reasoning, and of course, different perspectives, because that also helps students be exposed to different ideas and different views. So let's keep going with the next slide, which is talking about empowerment of the teachers. And we asked you another question, and that is, how comfortable are you with adapting your teaching approach to promote independent learning among students? And that means basically allowing the students to do some of the learning on their own, to let go and give them the power to learn in small groups, learn and support each other in their learning, allow them to discover more than just give them the information. Here's a chapter, here's a video, here's a piece of information in whatever way that it is presented, and that's something that you have to learn. So allowing them to really do the digging and the decision making and the exploration of a topic or a subject, and of problem solving as well. So at the moment, we cannot see everybody's screens, but we were hoping that you would be able to get the whole screen lit up with lots of hearts and some of the thumbs up, because we're hoping that you are open-minded and that you do want to be changing and improving your teaching strategies to bring in even better understanding to the students. So let's do a little bit of empowering of the teachers as well, with a little bit of energy. We've been sitting for about 45 minutes, so we want to stretch a little bit with the next slide. Just 30 seconds of stretching and trying to get a little bit more energy going in your muscles, because we will have another few examples of strategies that you can implement, and scenarios. So hopefully you have a little bit more energy right now. And if we get to the next slide, you will see that we have some solutions. How do we do this? So like I said earlier at the beginning of the webinar, my colleague in Poland and myself with Angi translating into Bahasa, we have created a teacher's guide. It's called Mastering Education Through Awareness. We actually have several versions of it available. So on the next slide, we can see the chapter titles, and you can see that in the English version, there are actually 14 chapters. In the Bahasa translation, we have shortened it to 11, and we have about 30 teaching scenarios, which are focusing on certain topics, like the roles of teachers and students that we talked about, the motivation and inspiration, thinking about the focus of students' strengths and how to bring the knowledge to the students about their own strengths. Of course, how to ask the right questions, and metacognitive strategies, the goal setting, the monitoring, and the evaluating that we were mentioning before. So the Bahasa version on the next slide you will be able to see is actually in a I've printed a copy, but we are at the moment able to distribute a PDF version of this with many practical tips. And it is divided, each chapter is divided into 2 sections. The first section is the what and the why explanation, followed by a number of scenarios that show you how to do it. So the shortened version has a fewer number of scenarios. The original version has a little bit more, but that's available in English. And on the next slide, we see that also the English version has a self-reflection that is built in for the teacher. And hopefully when we get to a Bahasa translation that is the full guide, then we will have it in there as well. But almost all of the scenarios include a reflective learning element. They include a reflection and questions for reflection for students, because like we said earlier, teachers need to turn reflection into habitual practice after especially each large assignment or chapter, to encourage that practice and that development of these critical thinking skills. Each chapter also comes with a bibliography. There's a bibliography that's on Wakelet. Most of it is in English. And how do we implement these scenarios? So how do we embed this into the next lesson? So if we go to the next slide, yeah. That's the actual beauty of those suggested situations, because you can adapt them to your needs, your students' age, and your subject matter. Okay, that's why we said these are scenarios that aren't replacing your physics class. They're not replacing your history class. They are additional 5-10-minute scenarios where you can help students understand themselves and how they learn a little bit better. So you can adapt them. They are adaptable to upper elementary, middle school, as well as high school students, even university students. So let's have a look at another scenario. This is a scenario from chapter 1 that employs teamwork to prepare an explanation. It employs peer teaching, which is a great strategy to explain. It employs reflective learning after the task. and also teaches the students this metacognitive awareness of their learning preferences, their styles, their strategies, their comfort zone. So Angie, I will let you explain it again.
Ya,
And there's going to be a question.
yes, thank you Vera. Jadi Bapak Ibu, ini adalah salah satu skenario pembelajaran yang bisa Bapak Ibu terapkan untuk apa? Supaya siswa bisa melihat apa sih cara yang paling efektif untuk mereka belajar. Nah, ini skenario di sini menggunakan kerjasama untuk bisa menyiapkan cara menjelaskan yang paling efektif untuk mereka. Nah, ini juga mengimplementasikan pengajaran sebaya atau tutor sebaya saat menjelaskan. Nah, selain itu juga pembelajaran reflektif. Nah, jadi di sini setelah seperti yang kita tahu bahwa metakognisi ini kan merupakan kesadaran tentang preferensi belajar, gaya, strategi, zona nyaman, dan apa yang sudah dikuasai dan apa yang bisa diperbaiki. Nah, jadi ini Anda bisa mengimplementasikannya ke dalam mata pelajaran apapun yang Anda ajarkan. Nah, caranya bagaimana? Anda bisa pasangkan siswa terlebih dahulu, lalu pilih konsep matematika yang paling yang tingkatnya 1 sampai 2 tingkat lebih rendah dari pengetahuan konsep matematika mereka saat ini misalnya. Kalau Anda mengajar matematika. Kalau Anda mengajar bahasa Inggris dan saat ini mereka sedang belajar tentang misalnya past tense, mungkin mereka bisa memilih konsep yang lebih mudah, 1 atau 2 tingkat lebih rendah. Mungkin mereka bisa memilih, oh, present tense misalnya. Nah, setelah itu secara berpasangan, siswa diminta untuk membuat penjelasan kreatif tentang konsep matematika tersebut. Jadi kalau misalnya mereka sedang belajar perkalian, Bapak Ibu bisa menyarankan mereka, oh, mereka bisa mengambil konsep penambahan karena mereka sudah menguasai itu. Jadi ambil topik yang sudah mereka kuasai, secara berpasangan mereka berpikir penjelasan kreatif yang akan mereka gunakan untuk mengajarkan penambahan. Nah, ajak mereka untuk menulis, menggambar, merekam video, atau cara apapun sekreatif mungkin. Nah, tujuannya supaya mereka bisa menghasilkan penjelasan dalam bentuk media, maupun itu 2 dimensi, 3 dimensi, dalam bentuk meme, dalam bentuk grafik, dan lain-lain. Nah, setelah itu, pecah pasangan ini dan bagi mereka ke dalam kelompok yang terdiri dari 4 orang. Nah, jadi pastikan setiap orang dari dalam kelompok yang baru ini berasal dari pasangan yang berbeda. Dan secara bergiliran, mereka akan saling menyampaikan penjelasan yang telah mereka buat atau menunjukkan apa yang sudah mereka buat. Misalnya grafik yang sudah mereka buat, meme yang sudah mereka buat untuk bisa menjelaskan konsep penambahan tadi. Nah, selain itu, minta semuanya untuk merenungkan pembelajaran mereka dan mengajukan pertanyaan-pertanyaan berikut ini. Penjelasan mana yang paling efektif dan mengapa? Lalu penjelasan mana yang menurut mereka paling baik dan mengapa? Lalu kriteria apa sih yang mereka gunakan untuk menilai presentasi yang efektif dan mengapa? Nah, lalu bagaimana mereka menyusun kriteria penilaian untuk menilai semua presentasi? Jadi selalu tanya mereka mengapa. Kenapa sih menurut kamu ini bagus? Apa sih yang aspek-aspek apa yang kamu pertimbangkan sehingga kamu bisa menilai, oh, ini penjelasan yang paling efektif misalnya. Nah, seperti itu Bapak Ibu. Nah, ini nanti bisa Bapak Ibu sesuaikan dengan tingkat dan mata pelajaran yang Bapak Ibu ajarkan.
Right.
Next.
So let's try to think about how would you adapt this scenario into your own class? And what effect would you expect? Okay, so think of anything, a concept or a topic, then the class, any one of your classes that you could introduce in this reflective learning way, because the whole point here is to be empowering the students with awareness, right? That awareness of how they are learning, what's their comfort zone, what is their preference or their style, how would they assess? So they're even thinking about assessment and raising that awareness of how their work would be assessed, how somebody else's work, which was done creatively in a different way, would be assessed.
Silakan Bapak Ibu.
Okay, that's a very good topic, cyberbullying. Yes. Very interesting topic, which you could use in English or in a Bahasa lesson, a literature lesson perhaps, or a news lesson. Okay, self-love. In a health class perhaps.
Silakan menulis, Bapak Ibu.
Great, Indonesian culture. Okay, the power of social media. Zero waste. Okay, so you're thinking about very topics with a variety of perspectives. Great. Okay, finance literacy. Excellent. Okay, excellent. All right, so we're getting some very interesting topics, which can, of course, be adapted to various classes and different age levels as well. Okay, great job. Great job. Okay, so before we close, we have one more scenario for you, and that is the scenario of building knowledge and raising awareness of the power of retrieval practice. One of the things that often happens in learning is that students fall into the trap of illusions of learning. And that illusion of learning is using strategies that are very simple, that have been used in the past, but perhaps aren't as effective as they could be nowadays. And often they just read and reread and reread their material and try to memorize it. And that is not as effective as other tools that they could be using. So this is a scenario from chapter 8. Which raises this awareness of the power of retrieval practice, and that is one of the metacognitive strategies. Angie, would you like to explain it in a very short way, because we are running out of time?
Yes, Tiara. Jadi Bapak Ibu, skenario dari bab 8 ini tujuannya untuk meningkatkan kesadaran tentang kekuatan praktik pengambilan informasi. Jadi siswa ini tidak hanya terjerat pada informasi-informasi yang mereka baca dan baca-baca ulang saja untuk menghafalkannya, tapi mereka bisa berefleksi juga dari penerimaan informasi tersebut. Seperti itu, Bapak Ibu.
Okay, so that's a concept or a topic that you can also apply here and help students realize their power when they are asked, how do you know that you have learned something, or how do you check it, or what should you do if you haven't learned something? So again, empowering the students to be able to control their own learning and be able to strengthen their learning outcomes when they are learning. So hopefully that has been helpful. And if you want to practice this, we are able to help you with that. We can provide custom live webinar support to discuss implementation of those scenarios, and we have more of these scenarios in the teacher's guide. We also have weekly posts on the Substack app, to which we are going to subscribe you. And I think that takes us to the link at the end. And of course, you are going to receive this PDF so that it will help you. You can get through the scenarios again. Anything else to add, Angie, before we close?
Just a little bit beta. Jadi Bapak Ibu bisa pindai kode QR berikut ini. Di dalamnya ada kontak saya juga sebagai perwakilan dari Meta untuk Indonesia. Bapak Ibu bisa kontak saya kalau Bapak Ibu ada pertanyaan atau sekedar berbagi, atau mungkin Bapak Ibu juga ingin, kayaknya sekolah saya mau tahu lebih lanjut tentang metakognisi, bisa juga hubungi saya. Dan kebetulan Beata juga ada di Indonesia, jadi nanti mungkin kita bisa lebih lanjut berdiskusi. Lalu Bapak Ibu juga bisa mengikuti laman kami dan media sosial kami. Selain itu, nanti Bapak Ibu juga akan menerima post L atau email setelah ini, supaya Bapak Ibu juga bisa tahu kabar-kabar terbaru kami dari Substack seperti itu. Selain itu, kami berharap sesi kali ini bermanfaat untuk Bapak Ibu semua. Semoga hari ini menjadi pengingat bahwa sebagai seorang guru, peran kita selain sangat mulia, peran kita juga bisa terus berlanjut untuk bisa memberikan pengajaran terbaik kepada siswa kita supaya mereka juga bisa memiliki metakognisi dan pembelajaran yang efektif. Terima kasih. Beata, back to you.
Thank you very much. I think that we have run out of time, but we are happy to hang around and ask and answer any questions that you might have.
Oh ya, Beata. Also, untuk Bapak Ibu yang ada di daerah 3T, nanti juga ada tertentu ya. Jadi Bapak Ibu juga bisa mengecek laman kami untuk itu.
Yeah.
Terima kasih.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Berta and Bu Anggi. Bapak Ibu boleh berikan reaction-nya. Thank you very much for the great presentation from both of you. So what a great collaboration tonight, Bapak Ibu. Beta, you gave us a theoretical framework about metacognition actually, and also reflective learning. And Bu Anggi tried to conduct it in practical knowledge about metacognitive itself. This is so what do you call it? So fruitful and very useful materials for us. Actually, thank you very much. But unluckily, we have no more time for Q&A. That's okay. But Bu Anggi tadi sudah ini ya memberikan QR code kepada Bapak Ibu semuanya. Jadi kalau ada pertanyaan lanjutan dan sebagainya boleh mengontak begitu ya Bu Anggi ya, and also Beta.
Betul, Ibu.
Okay, thank you very
Thank
much.
you very much. Thank you.
All right. Oke, terima kasih Bapak Ibu semuanya. Thank you so much, Beta. Terima kasih Bu Anggi.
People can also
Kolaborasi. Yep.
connect on LinkedIn. People can also, I forgot about that. We can also connect on LinkedIn as well. I'm on LinkedIn.
Oh, okay.
Oh, exactly.
Ya, oke. Thank you, Beta. Alright, sebelum kita tutup pertemuan yang begitu luar biasa malam ini, kita kembali ke Pak Dadan dulu ya. Kita kembali ke Pak Dadan, Bapak Ibu. Oke, back to you, Pak Dadan.
Thank you, Bu Jenny, Beata, and Bu Anggi. Thank you very much for
Foto-foto dulu ya, Pak ya. Oke, masih mute, Pak Dadan.
Yes. Can you hear my voice? I'm sorry. Can you hear my voice?
Okay, now.
Okay.
Yep, clearly.
Thank you very much, Bu Jenny, Beata, and Teh Anggi for sharing a very insightful information about metacognition. I believe this is a really nice prompt for the teachers to take it further, because it is something very interesting to dig deeper and implement in our classes. And all resources has been shared into the WhatsApp group, including the link that you just share, Teh Anggi, and
Wow.
hopefully all the participants here in the Zoom and those who are not joining today, but they are in the WhatsApp group, they can contact you to have further discussion. Yes, unfortunately, we cannot have a Q&A session because we already injury time for 1 minute. So it might be the sign for us to have another session relating to this topic. Yeah. Okay,
Sure.
Ibu and Bapak, be ready. We are going to take photos. Turn on your video, and then we are going to have a quick screen shot. Yeah.
Silakan Bapak Ibu give your sweet smile malam ini buat kita semuanya, buat Beta dan buat Bu Anggi juga. Saya bantuin
Okay,
Pak Dadan.
boleh. Yeah. I have how many slide? Yeah. I think only the first slide that turning on the camera.
Kamera.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay, thank you, Ibu and
Alright.
Bapak. Yeah.
Ya. Oke, thank you very much. Bapak Ibu yang masih bertahan malam ini ada 100 lebih ya Pak Dadan partisipan.
Alhamdulillah. Yeah.
Alhamdulillah. Ya, jadi mudah-mudahan ada next session nih ya Bu Anggi and also Beta. See you on the next session. Actually, sebenarnya mungkin banyak pertanyaan tadi ya Pak Dadan, tapi mungkin karena materi kita sangat padat dan berdaging semuanya. Oke, thank you very much Bapak Ibu. That's the end of our session tonight. Thank you for your kind attention. Thank you again once more Beta and Anggi. Mudah-mudahan bertemu lagi di lain kesempatan ya dengan materi yang sangat menarik tadi, metacognition and reflective learning. Oke, terima kasih Bapak Ibu. Boleh meninggalkan ruangan Zoom kita. See you and bye. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you,
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Bu Beta, Bu Anggi, Pak Dadan. Thank you, everyone.
Terima
For having
kasih
us.
Thank you Bapak.
We're happy to come back
semuanya.
again and explain some more.
Thank you for
Oke,
the host, Bu Mbak Jenny. Thank you.
makasih Pak Aldi, Pak Diki.